Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Aaliyah.
And I'm juliarene.
And we are starting a new series today.
We are.
Do you want to introduce it or should I?
You should.
We are doing a new series, as you can tell by the title already, but that's okay. It's just a slight spoiler. We are doing the Becoming Her series.
Becoming her.
Her.
Sad
Capital
to see-
H-E-R.
Yeah, I am her. Sad to see the bodybuilding series go, but we have a new and incredible series, and we're so excited for it.
I'm actually really excited for this one because I feel like, well, first off, becoming her, being her, she is her. Like those are like newer phrases, I feel. So you might not know what
that
we're talking
girl,
about.
all that
Exactly. So like if you're not familiar with what being her in quotation means, and we're also going to be saying her and she a whole lot this episode. Honestly, this whole series. So I hope you like catch along soon what we're alluding to. But her is basically the it girl, you know, like that bitch. Essentially it's like the dream version of yourself. As we talk about her and what becoming her is, it's kind of, and we're going to break down kind of how to do this and then step by step. It's a pretty long series, to be honest. It might be our longest one yet, but basically it's becoming the best version of yourself, the highest version of yourself, the future version you visualize for your perfect ideal future. That is her. That future you is her. So kind of this whole series is working at becoming that, at becoming the best, the better, the highest version of yourself, essentially.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a really big theme just on social media, like becoming her, that girl. And I think that what people think it is what they're seeing in other people's videos, which is like making your greens, waking up early, going and working out. And like that is amazing for some people. Like that's basically what my morning routine is like, that sets me up for success. But I feel like there's this like weird tinge around it of like you have to be a certain kind of that girl.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about this, everyone's is going to look different.
Very.
And like I love the way that you explained it, because it was just saying like becoming your highest self, becoming the best version of you.
Yeah.
Because you might not be doing those things right now.
And you might look at the girl doing the 6 a.m. workout and you're like, that's not my ideal future. Like that is not what I want to become. Or you might look at her and be like, I want to be everything she is, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's fully about like a lot of today's episode is just kind of finding out what that looks like for you. So I'm going to like have you kind of ask yourself some prompted questions in a minute. But basically the takeaway is like, you shouldn't, like my future me is not going to be Julia's future me. We're going to be very different people because that's how our goals kind of set us up to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And the things that you're seeing like on social media, and they're really good inspiration. Like I love using them as inspiration, but sometimes I'll see them and I'm like, okay, wait, that's actually like not what I want to do like at all. Like I'll see these like aesthetic looking things of like how they're living their life. And I'm like, wait, I'm a bodybuilder and I have to sometimes train like for 3 hours a day, whether it's like cardio and training and like posing.
Yeah.
Like that's not realistic for me.
Yeah.
So it's easy to like want to adopt what other people are doing as your own just because it looks really cool and it looks really fancy, but everyone has different walks of life. So just wanted to put that out there. It's like whatever your her is going to be different from the girl that's next to you.
I was going to say something and now I forget.
Maybe I remember.
You were speaking about that. If I remember it, I'll mention it. I think it was something along the lines of like, it's really easy to fall into the masses, but it's almost like better creating your own your own goal, your own future. I feel like then at least like, I don't know, it makes it a lot easier to work towards because then it's authentic instead of being like, oh, her future goal, her is my her. Like that's not how it works.
Because you might watch these things and like unknowingly adopt them, and you don't really, because you think that that's what's going to get you to, you know, A, B, and C, of like whatever your goals might be. And then you look in the mirror and you're like, wait, like I hate doing all of this stuff. Like I really, this doesn't light me up. This doesn't get me excited about today. So I'd really like encourage you when you're watching those videos, like pull the things that you like and what becoming her means to you, and then like ditch the rest.
Amen.
Ditch it. Bruh.
Okay, we're going to kind of go into the questions. Today's episode is going to be shorter, I think, compared to the rest of the series, because this one is really just like everything is very generalized because like we've just said 20 different times, our goal selves is not going to be your goal self. So like these are just questions to ask yourself. We're going into tools you can use to reach her next episode, but like spoiler alert, I would grab your journals now.
Yes.
Start already writing this down. That's kind of like step one to all of this. The biggest thing you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to achieve? That could be right now, that could be within the week, within the month, or that could be in the next 10 years. I think it's good to set short-term and long-term goals, and becoming her, I think, is more of like a long-term everyday thing. It's not like a, once I hit this and I am her, I'm done. It's like okay, how can we like develop lifestyle to support those goals or achievements? So first thing, ask yourself, what do you want to achieve right now? Set a few, don't make it just one. I would make them general to start, and then from there, as you're answering the rest of the questions, you can kind of make that goal a little more specific. So I'll give you an example. Once I'm done going all of these general questions, I'll give you one that like is my current goal. But just to continue for right now, picture your future self. She already achieved these goals. Whatever goals you just wrote down, the girl that you're trying to be already achieved it. So start visualizing that. You can even close your eyes, like pretend that you just obtained all of these goals that you just wrote down. First off, like, how does that feel? I feel like the first portion of this is like the daydreaming. What does she look like? How is her attitude? Is she like excited to wake up every day? Like all of the daydreaming of like, this is the perfect life. I'm going to have this mansion with these kids and this dog and my perfect husband. This is what he looks like. Like this is the time to daydream. And then from there, moving on, you can go into, actually I did write specifics. What is it like to live with these goals being accomplished? And then the realistic side of it is, what qualities does she possess? What habits does she have? What does her daily routine looks like? Who is she spending time with? What's her motivation? How does she act towards other people? Just all of these other questions that can I feel like they start to snowball once you start writing it down.
Yeah. Once you start writing like a couple of them and you're like, ooh, like this, and then like this, like, how do you want to feel like when you wake up in the morning? Like when you're waking up in the morning, do you feel dreadful that it's like another day? Or are you like happy, excited? Are you rushed and like trying to get to work and throwing things together? Or do you just leisurely get up, you make your coffee, you write in your journal, and your life might be very like rushed right now and like you're doing things for other people, but becoming her, that ultimate version of yourself, maybe that's not the life that she actually, like, you want to live in the future. Maybe you want to find a little bit more balance. Maybe you want to quit your job. Maybe you want to be in a different kind of relationship. Like, what are the feelings that she feels when she wakes up in the morning? Because I can distinctly recall when I wasn't being her and I wasn't being true to who I actually am. I would wake up and be like, I don't really feel like getting up. Like, I had no purpose to get up. It was just rolling out of bed, and I dreaded going to sleep because I didn't really want to wake up. I was hella depressed during that time. Yeah. But now, like, I wake up and I'm excited for each day, even if my day's a little bit like slower or there's a little bit more stress in my work schedule. Regardless, I still wake up and I'm like, this is the life that I want to live, at least for right now.
I feel like also remembering with like goal setting in general, things ebb and flow. Like, you're not always going to be 110% like living your best life. I worked my ass off the last few years. And I was in that state where like, I was almost too busy that I didn't feel the emotion of it, but I was so stressed out all the time. I would cry like at least once a week over like just my schedule being so booked and busy. And now I've been waking up and I almost regret, like one of my first feelings in the morning is regret for not doing enough the day before, because I went from doing so much to now not doing like 1/4 of what I used to do. So that's why I'm excited for this series, because I want to get back to a place where I'm excited when I wake up and I don't regret any choices I made the day before. Yeah. And I'm just proud of myself.
It's kind of like we always go through like a pendulum swing. It's really funny how like we'll go so far on one end and then
you burn
we're
out.
like, well, let's go so far. And I do that every season. It's like I push way too hard during my season with literally every aspect of my life. Yeah. And then after, there's the huge pendulum swing back where I feel so low and depleted. And I'm like, oh, I have no energy to do any of those things. So it's about not going too ham
Yeah.
in those moments to where you don't have to have that really tough swing to the other side.
I think everyone can agree that their her is somewhere in the middle
Yes.
there, where
Yes.
she's not stressed out, but she's productive and she's excited and not living with like, oh, I should be doing more. I feel like it's definitely like a balance you need to find. So those are some of the questions you can ask yourself to at least get that image started. I literally, when I wrote this out and then I applied it because I was like, it would be really dumb of me to write this out and not like actually test the theory of if this layout works for me. I ended up writing like a whole page of just like my desired life. I actually saw on TikTok, it had to be like a year ago now, this girl every year, beginning of the year, will write as though it's December like 31st of that same year, talking about everything she accomplished and everything she got done. And that's how she goal sets. And I actually love that because we talk about manifestation all the time and like talking in the sense that your goals are already obtained.
They're already yours.
Yeah, like they're already belong to you. So that's a way you could do it. You could write it in first person and be like, I did this, I did that.
Yeah, like a journal entry of that day
Yeah.
of just like a recap of the year, even though that year's not over.
Yeah.
Just recapping
Like, what
it
a
like,
cool idea.
this already happened. Like that is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that everybody does this in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Like the way that I do it is I just list the things out as if they're already mine. And we'll go into this in the next Monday episode of like how exactly I do that. But yeah, I write them as if they're mine. Like I am.
Yeah.
Like those words are so powerful instead of like, I could, potentially at this time. Maybe.
I want to. I want to give kind of an example, just answering some of the questions I just listed for you guys myself. And I'm also going to try to add all of those questions to the description, just so if you have a hard time like journaling while listening, you can go back and write all the questions out. Again, I wrote mine kind of in paragraph form of like, what does she look like? Okay, so this is like me obtaining my goal. And the goal I was focusing on is I want to be a content creator full time. I feel like that would help a lot with some of my stress. That would it's just a goal of mine. It's something I would really love to obtain. So in my brainstorming aspect of that is I looked at like the daydreaming version and I was like, okay, me as a content creator full time, maybe let's say in like a few months from now, like what does she look like? So the daydream part is she wakes up every day excited for her job and to create. She has brand deals, travel opportunities, financial independence. She positively impacts both people online and in person through her content. So that's kind of like the overarching like imagery of where I would like to be. And then, okay, well, how did she get there is like what you need to look at. Because obviously it's one thing to be like, this is my her. And then it's another thing to be like, what steps would I have taken to be her, right? Yeah. So every day she wakes up early, prioritizes her mental and physical health. She has set times for brainstorming ideas, photo shooting, editing, posting, and reaching out to brands. She doesn't give up on herself when things get hard or when she has a slower month. She's motivated to create meaningful content. She is surrounded by like-minded individuals that encourage her. She supports them back, et cetera, et cetera. Again, like this could go on and on. Just fully assess like, well, what would she be doing to get there? And now follow those yourself.
Yeah, that's a huge part of manifesting any of the goals that you have. It's like, yes, it's really cool to do the daydreamy thing and like write it out and write the goals and make the vision board and this and that. But then there's the actual action to it. Like how realistically, what are the habits, rituals, routines, and emotions that this girl has to feel and do in order to reach these goals? And it's like you said, like time blocking content, all of these little tiny things that you do that seem mundane throughout the week, like scheduling out when you're going to do your email, scheduling out like when you're going to do your content, editing and stuff like that. They seem like mundane because it's not the actual goal, but all of these little things are so important.
How you get there.
Yeah, because they add up to that goal. And like my example for that is, being on the Olympia stage in 2023. It's like, okay, that's a really cool goal, but what does that girl, what does she do? What does she do every single day? And what does she feel when she wakes up? She goes and does her cardio. She journals about her goals, which are going to the Olympia. You know, she eats her meal plans on time. She makes sure that she is okay with her recovery so that her body doesn't fall apart when she gets to there. Like all of those things matter so much to achieving that end goal.
Yes.
She just goes,
yeah, every time you say something, I'm like, well, I couldn't have said it better, so I have nothing to add. But yeah, those are just examples for us. Again, like those are specific ones for us. You could make multiple, or you could make a general her with like a list of goals and like, what does all of that look like? But exactly like Julia said, like starting to implement qualities or habits that you don't already possess, or just things you could do better, I think is step one. So like I look at myself and I'm like, okay, I am organized, but I'm not as structured as someone who's obtaining that would be. So that's something I need to improve on. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just finding like where you could improve to become her, and also some places where maybe you're completely missing those habits. Maybe you're not doing something at all or working towards something at all, and you keep pushing it off. Like now's the time to really focus on it. But yeah, that's basically it for this episode, I feel. Yeah. We're just kind of defining what her is, and then the next few episodes are going to be tackling like, well, how do you actually get there and obtain that?
Yes, because it's all already within you. You just need to realize that. And that's what manifesting is. It's like literally all of these things are already up in the universe. They're floating around. It's just a matter of you aligning the things that you want with the actions and the emotions that girl feels and does every single day. One of the reasons why we don't reach our goals so much is because our actions don't actually align with what our goals are. Like if I wanted to be Miss Olympia 2023 or whatever, qualify for the Olympia, and I wasn't doing cardio, I wasn't eating my meals, I wasn't doing my supplementation, those are not aligned. Like, of course, I'm not going to end up reaching my goal versus somebody that is doing all those things. So,
and some people self-sabotage where they know that's their goal and they start working towards it, and they almost like intentionally stop themselves for working towards it harder. Like I know what I need to do. If I wanted to be a full-time content creator, I could do it in a few weeks if I really gave it 110%, but I'm holding myself back. So that's like something else you need to look at is like, are you ready to become her? Like you need to be ready.
That's a really good question. I'm glad that you brought that up too, because the thing is that we know what we need to do to get ourselves to that goal. You know what you've been needing to do. You're listening to this right now, and you can probably think of a list of things that you're like, this is what her would do, but I'm not doing it. Like you already know. And the thing is that fear and self-sabotage take over, and you're making up excuses and being like, well, like I do this and I do this, because honestly, it's scary becoming her, because most of the time people don't reach their goals because they're actually scared of reaching that goal. Like
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I'm speaking to you right now. It's like you want this thing so bad. Like you want to be a content creator. You want to be Miss Olympia, but you don't actually know if you're worthy enough or it's going to be worth it or if you're going to fail. So you just kind of slide by and just kind of walk through life like a zombie. That's what most people do. They're walking through life like zombies. Just like being a work zombie, being a mom zombie, just going through the motions, because that is more comfortable and that is safer than going after something that's out of the norm or that your parents thought was a little bit crazy or your partner doesn't really support. It's a lot safer being in your comfort zone. So just when you're thinking about these things and you're dreaming about becoming her and what it feels like and what she does, catch yourself. Are you not saying things? Are you not writing out things? Are you thinking, okay, well, that's a little too far? If you are, then that's your cue that like you're already setting yourself up to self-sabotage, because you're like, oh, well, she has a house that's like this. Oh, fuck, let me erase that. Yeah. Like you have to be aware of those things.
Nothing
when you're
is out of reach, at least for setting your goals.
Yeah.
Like it feels better to work towards that and fall like 1% short than not work towards it at all.
Oh yeah. And it's crazy because they'll interview like old people like on their deathbed and stuff. And the thing that they always say is they regret like not doing things. And that is like just an overarching theme of not doing things like asking that girl out or saying that one last thing to their partner or taking that job opportunity. It's always regret. And you don't want to come to the end of your life and have regrets. Maybe you won't reach all of the millions and millions of goals because we don't know when we don't know when our time is up. And that's the thing, is this time is so precious. We really don't know. And I could die tomorrow, but I would be happy because I knew that at least I was still working towards all of those things and I achieved most of the things that I wanted to in my life. So think about that. Like if you died tomorrow,
what a wake up call.
Would you be happy?
I've been having really bad impending doom anxiety. So those have been my only thoughts the last few weeks.
Doom.
Is like, I need to do more. No, literally.
Chicken Little. The sky is falling.
I'm him.
Kendall is Chicken Little, actually.
That's my her.
My her is Chicken Little. But you want to be Chicken Little at the end of the movie.
Yes.
When he's a superstar.
When everyone loves him.
Yes, and they believe him. That was a good episode. Yeah, so really, by the time that you have our next episode on Monday, I want you to really just have an idea of like what your her looks like. Like picture her in your mind. What does her hair look like? What does her makeup look like? What is she wearing? How does she feel? What kind of energy does she vibrate when she sees other people? Like, is she shy and reserved and self-conscious, or is she like confident? She speaks her mind and she's very compassionate and empathetic to other people. What does she look like? Because the next episode, we're going to go into like actual tactical tips on how you can keep the ball rolling, because this is a ongoing process. Like Kendall said, it's not an end date. It's not like the trophy. It's not like the wedding date where you're just so much build up to becoming her, and then you get to her and it's like, oh, this wasn't really that cool. All of this stuff is just practice. Every single day is not going to be beautiful. Every single day you're not going to be the most confident person. You're not going to walk outside and feel the best. But what do you do in those moments when you're not feeling your absolute best? Do you show up like the old her, or do you show up like the new her?
Julia really crushed this episode.
Sorry.
I'm still like half asleep and you're like killing it.
One thing that I've been doing lately, because I get so anxious with like speaking and stuff like that, and I really just psych myself out, I just go into every moment, like when I'm going into the gym, or if I'm like seeing, like I'm going to a fitness expo where like I'm going to meet people, or I'm going to speak to the girls that are in my program right now. The cool thing is the girls in my program are going through this stuff exactly, especially in like the next episode. But I just set like an intention and ask the universe to like speak through me. So I don't really know what I'm saying most of the time. It's just
that's every time I come on here and like you write the outline, I don't. That's how I feel, and I feel like I do always talk better because I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like let it flow.
Exactly. If you just like really tap into the energy of the universe and just say like, let the people hear what needs to come from me, it'll come out better than you would have expected. Better than any like pointed thing.
Julia appreciating not planning something.
Yeah.
What a journey.
That's your her. That's my her. She's peacefully productive instead of anxiously productive.
Yes.
Well, guys, that's going to be it for the first episode. Really, really excited for this new series. This is going to be so important into literally all aspects of your life. And we love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.
Bye.